Races can be a tricky thing while building a Dungeons & Dragons character, because you have this vision in your mind, but sometimes the published races just aren't fitting what you're seeing in your mind's eye. Today we're going to cover some fun, creative, and unique races that the community has created in this week's Homebrew Breakdown. I truly believe that the stories we read growing up affect what we want to emulate and what we expect. Some kids were looking forward to the random acceptance letter to Hogwarts, while others were waiting for a revolution to up their chances of fighting in the Hunger Games. Then there were kids like me, who were hoping that some creature from myth would put me in dire peril so that my godly parent would claim me as a demigod. If you were one of those kids, let me introduce you to the Demigod race. It's as straightforward as it can be. Sometimes the gods get frisky, and when they do, there always seems to be a mortal that will be willing to have their kid. Some initial stats are that your constitution goes up by 1, you reach maturity around the same age as your non-godly race, but you can live up to be about 300 years, and once a day, you can ask your godly parent for assistance, where if you reach out, you get advantage on your next d20 roll. Free inspiration is always nice, but that's not all. Depending on who your godly parent is, you do get additional buffs. The examples given are of the Greek pantheon, but the ideals and domains can be easily transferred to any other pantheon of your choice. This is one of the best takes that I've seen at creating a playable and well-balanced demigod race in D&D, and it makes me want to run a Camp Half-Blood campaign so bad. While we're on the topic of childhood books, I loved The Tale of Despero as a kid, and even attempted to read the Redwall series at one point in time, but I was fascinated with the idea of playing as a mouse person. A small, unassuming being that somehow had the ability to make big change. If you also had that idea, let me introduce you to the Mousefolk. Similar to the likes of Tabaxi and Heron, you are an anthropomorphic mouse. Mousefolk are lovers of art, literature, craft, and song, and often will spend their lifetime perfecting their craft. And oftentimes you will find them outside of their homelands, searching to further their craft. Stats will include that you are a small creature, with most mousefolk only reaching about 2.5 feet in height and about 25 pounds. Your dexterity will increase by 2, and you have a nimble dodge ability, where if you're targeted by an opportunity attack, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on that attack. In addition, you get to choose whether you're a meadow guard or a soft paw. If you're a meadow guard, your wisdom increases by 1. And you're brave, which means you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. And you can talk to small beasts. If you're a soft paw, your intelligence increases by 1, and you gain proficiency in one artisan's tool or a musical instrument. I'm definitely going to keep this one in mind for if I ever play again, because creating a Despero stylized fighter or paladin has always been a dream of mine. Did anybody else watch He-Man growing up and immediately become fascinated with one of the villains in the series, Skeletor? I loved that guy, and I wanted to emulate him in a character someday. But no matter how much flavor I put on it, the published races just weren't fitting it. With the Awakened Skeleton race, you can finally live your Masters of the Universe fantasy. Described as ex-servitors of powerful necromantic entities, these now awakened skeletons eventually break free of their old master's control and start to develop a personality of their own. Some stats for the Awakened Skeleton are your Constitution score increases by 2, you are immune to poison due to your distinct lack of internal organs, and when you take a long rest, which only takes 4 hours, you appear to be dead to all magical and non-magical perception. Death definitely has its perks. You also get to choose which soul you have. An arcane soul, an armored soul, or a shadow soul, each of which has appropriate perks and abilities. While I absolutely love this race, it seems like it'd fit more for fun one-shots rather than long-term campaigns. If you're looking to build a character like this for a long-term campaign, I would direct you more towards the Hollowed One character option in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. But whether you want Skeletor, Sans, or something in between, you could have a lot of fun with this race. When it comes to dream races to play in D&D, some people are drawn to fantasy characters or creatures from some obscure mythos. But for others, it's a lot simpler than that. For some, you just want to be man's best friend. With the Canine race, you can make that dream a reality. It's plain and simple. You are a dog, a furry, four-legged canine companion. The description of this race says that for most of history, dogs have been stalwart companions, faithful guardians, and beloved kin to their two-legged allies. Loyalty, faith, devotion, and selflessness have guided dogs throughout the ages, and I couldn't have said it better myself. As a canine, your charisma score increases by 1. You have a natural bite ability that increases with your level. You can cast Charm Person once a day, and you can choose from a myriad of different dog breeds, with each one has its own special ability. A fun addition to this is that you can understand common and 2 additional languages. Whether or not you can speak these languages lies up to the players and the DM's discretion. This is a fantasy game after all. Bonus fact is that canines are usually always of good alignment, with very, very few exceptions. My initial thought is to create a druid canine that wild shapes into humanoid form in order to blend in, but I honestly think it's just really great that you can immortalize your childhood dog as a D&D character. This last homebrew race I'm going to talk about, I have never ever heard of it. I did my research and it turns out it's not even based off of a character or creature from the near or distant past. The best way I can describe them is an ethereal plane wandering multicolored Cajun Cyclops, and I absolutely love them. The Aab'Shagua are not known by most people on the material plane. They are nomads in the most extreme sense. Even the boundaries between the planes cannot stop the Aab'Shaguans from peddling exotic goods from all corners of creation. Their hair and skin can be any color of the rainbow, though most are of human shade. They range from 4 to 8 feet tall. They often have geometric birthmarks on their body, but their most notable feature is their one ginormous eye. As an Aab'Shaguan, your intelligence increases by 2, and one other ability of your choice increases by 1. You are very familiar with plane shifting of any kind, so you're always aware of which plane of existence you are on, and if somebody else plane shifts in front of you, you know which plane they go to. And you're familiar with all types of goods, so you can naturally cast the Identify spell once per short rest. A cool and unique part of the Aab'Shaguan race is that you know Primordial and 3 other languages of your choice, because you need to speak the language of the folks that you surround yourself with. But Aab'Shaguans contort these languages to their absolute limit, often creating bizarre dialects and slang unique to their own race. There are even some bits of sample sentences that Aab'Shaguans have said on the DndBeyond page, and in my mind, it bears a striking resemblance to the Cajun dialect in the best way possible. This seems like a great addition to many different types of campaigns, but especially if you're running a Spelljammer campaign. It's unique, original, and extremely well balanced. I had no idea about this race before I did my research for this video, and it is now my goal to include at least one in my current campaign. I feel like your race is the foundation that you build your D&D character around, and if the published ones just aren't seeming like the right fit, look to the community, because the right one might just be waiting for you around the next corner. Thank you so much for sticking around with me, and if you like what you saw, please feel free to like and subscribe. DndBeyond Links can be found in the video's description, and while you're down there, leave a comment telling me which one of these races was your favorite, and if there's any other homebrew races you'd like me to cover in a future video. Feel free to check out more videos on my channel, and be on the lookout for future videos. But until then, I'll catch you in the next breakdown.